The massive alien fleet appeared above Earth on a Tuesday morning. Commander Vex of the Galactic Council stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the blue planet below with 4 of his eyes. To him, Earth looked weak. No planetary shields, no visible space weapons, just primitive satellites floating around like toys. "This will be easy," Vex said to his lieutenant, Crow. "These humans haven't even colonized their moon properly. They still use chemical rockets." The bridge crew laughed. Their various alien sounds mixing together. The Galactic Council had discovered Earth 3 months ago during a routine survey. They saw a planet rich with water, minerals, and perfect for colonization. The native species seemed barely advanced. They had only been in space for less than a century. By galactic standards, they were infants. Vex activated the Universal Translator and broadcast his message to Earth. "Humans of Earth, this is Commander Vex of the Galactic Council. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender. Resistance would be unwise." Down on Earth, in the United Nations building, President Walker sat with his advisors. General Tom stood beside him, surprisingly calm. "Sir, they're making a big mistake," Tom said quietly. "How can you be so sure?" Walker asked, watching the alien ships on the screen. There were thousands of them, each one larger than any human. Vessel. Tom smiled grimly. "Because they're assuming we're weak based on our technology. They don't understand human nature. They don't know our history." Walker nodded slowly. Throughout human history, Earth had been underestimated. Small armies had defeated larger ones. Weaker nations had outlasted empires. And humans had one trait that made them dangerous. They were incredibly stubborn when their home was threatened. "Send the response," Walker ordered. The message was simple: no. On his ship, Vex blinked all 4 eyes in surprise. "No? Just ... no." He turned to Crow. "They must not understand. Perhaps their translators are broken." But then something strange happened. Every human military base on Earth went on high alert. Simultaneously, submarines surfaced in every ocean. Fighter jets took to the skies. But more importantly, something else happened that the aliens didn't expect. Every human nation, despite their differences, united instantly. Commander, Crow, sighed, checking his sensors. "The humans are ... mobilizing, but their weapons are primitive. Projectile-based, chemical explosives. Nothing that can hurt our shields." Vex laughed again. "Let them try. It will be amusing. Send down the first wave." 100 alien ships descended toward Earth's major cities. They expected panic, chaos, surrender. What they got was something entirely different. In Moscow, Tokyo, New York, London, and hundreds of other cities, humans didn't run. They watched the ships descend with a strange calmness. Hidden missile silos opened. Scientists in underground bunkers activated secret projects. And in homes around the world, ordinary people prepared to fight. The aliens had made 3 critical errors. First, they judged human advancement only by visible technology. They didn't know about the secret weapons developed after decades of science fiction imagination. Second, they didn't understand that humans had been preparing for this. Ever since they started looking at the stars. Every movie, every book, every game about alien invasion had been unconscious preparation. But their biggest mistake was not understanding human psychology. Humans were descended from persistence hunters, beings who would chase prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. They were the species that survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. They were the ones who looked at impossible odds and said, "We'll find a way." As the first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, General Tom picked up a secure phone. "Operation David Stone is a go. All units, engage at will." The aliens expected an easy conquest. They expected a weak, divided species that would crumble at the first show of force. They had studied Earth's technology and found it lacking. What they hadn't studied was Earth's history full of underdogs winning impossible victories. They hadn't studied human creativity, the ability to turn anything into a weapon. And they certainly hadn't studied human spite, the sheer determination to prove someone wrong, no matter the cost. The first alien ship exploded over Paris, hit by something the sensors couldn't even detect. Then another over Delhi. Then Beijing. Commander Vex stared at his screens in shock. What's happening? How are they doing this? The galaxy had underestimated Earth. Now, they would learn why that was their worst mistake. Commander Vex watched, in disbelief, as a third of his invasion force disappeared from his tactical display. The explosions were visible, even from orbit-bright flashes of light, where his advanced ships had been moments before. Impossible, Krall shouted, his green scales turning pale. Their weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate our shields. But down on Earth, General Ton knew exactly what was happening. Humans had learned something from decades of science fiction. If you can't match advanced technology, you don't fight it directly. You find its weakness. Dr. Lisa Chun, Earth's lead physicist, had discovered that weakness 3 hours after first contact. The alien shields operated on a frequency that was perfect too perfect. They repelled energy weapons, deflected projectiles, and could withstand massive explosions. But they had one flaw. They couldn't adapt to random, chaotic attacks. Fire. A swarm missiles, Tom ordered. From hidden silos across Earth. Thousands of small missiles launched. Each one was primitive by galactic standards, chemical propulsion, basic guidance systems. But each carried something special, a payload that exploded into hundreds of smaller projectiles, each one moving in completely random patterns. The alien shields, designed to calculate and deflect organized attacks, couldn't process the chaos. They tried to adapt, but for every pattern they blocked, 10 more random ones got through. On the flagship, Vex watched his ship's reports in growing alarm. They're using fireworks? Primitive explosives? How is this working? But it wasn't just the weapons that surprised him. It was the human response itself. Every major city had become a fortress overnight. Civilians had evacuated to underground bunkers that the aliens hadn't even detected. Military forces appeared from hidden bases in mountains, deserts, and even under the ocean. In Berlin, Captain Hans coordinated the European defense. Remember, he told his troops, they expect us to fight like them, with energy weapons and shields, so we don't. We fight like humans. The alien ground forces that landed found themselves in a nightmare. They had advanced armor that could stop laser blasts, but it couldn't stop a simple pit trap with wooden spikes. Their hover vehicles were fast and agile, but they couldn't navigate through streets filled with abandoned cars and burning debris. And then there were the hackers. Teenager Mike from Texas had been playing video games when the aliens arrived. Within hours, he and thousands of other hackers worldwide had formed a network. The aliens' technology was advanced, but it was still technology. And if there was one thing humans were good at, it was breaking things that weren't supposed to be broken. Got it, Mike shouted from his basement. He had found a back door in the alien communication system, not through superior technology, but through simple trial and error, the same way he'd beaten impossible game levels. Suddenly, alien ships started receiving false orders. Some flew into each other. Others fired on their own forces. The organized invasion became chaos. But the real surprise came from humanity's secret weapon, spite and determination. In Japan, when alien forces surrounded Tokyo, the defenders didn't surrender. Instead, they broadcast a message. Remember Thermopylae. Remember the Alamo. Remember Stalingrad. This is our home. The aliens didn't understand the references, but they understood what happened next. The humans fought for every building, every street, every inch of ground. They turned their own cities into mazes of traps and ambushes. Vex received report after report of impossible resistance. A squad of his elite warriors had been defeated by humans with improvised weapons. An entire landing force had been stopped by something called Molotov cocktails, literally bottles of flaming liquid. "Commander," Krall said quietly, "the humans ... They're not fighting to win. They're fighting to make us lose." That was the key difference. The Galactic Council fought wars to conquer, to gain resources, to expand territory. Humans were fighting for something else, to prove a point, to protect their home. And simply because someone had told them they couldn't win in Australia, Aboriginal Elder Bob led the defense of the outback. The aliens' advanced sensors couldn't track humans who knew how to move through the desert like ghosts. Their energy weapons were useless against enemies who wouldn't stay still long enough to target by the end of the first day. The invasion force had lost 60% of its ships and troops, not to superior technology, but to inferior technology used in ways the galaxy had never imagined. Vex stood on his bridge, trying to understand what was happening. How? How are they doing? This? Lieutenant Krall pulled up the data. "Sir, I've been analyzing their history. These humans, they've been killing each other with primitive weapons for thousands of years. They've perfected warfare at every technological level. The galaxy had expected to fight a technologically inferior species. Instead, they were fighting the masters of primitive warfare who happened to have just enough technology to be dangerous." 3 days into the invasion, Commander Vex called an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council. His once proud fleet was in tatters, and the situation on Earth was beyond comprehension. "Honored Council," Vex began, his voice strained, "I must report that the humans are ... not what we expected." The Council leader, an ancient being called Zor, flickered on the holographic display. "Explain, Commander. You had 10,000 ships. The humans had none." "They still have none," Vex replied. "But they don't need them." He showed them the footage. Human soldiers using mirrors to blind alien sensors. Children with slingshots taking down scout drones. Grandmothers throwing jars of homemade acid at alien armor. The entire population had become an army, but the real shock came from what happened. In Space. Captain Maria Rodriguez floated in a small maintenance pod near the International Space Station. By galactic standards, she shouldn't have been a threat. Her vessel was basically a tin can with thrusters. But Maria had grown up fixing cars in Mexico City. She knew machines. She approached the alien flagship's waste disposal port, a tiny opening that the aliens never thought to defend. After all, who would be crazy enough to enter a ship through its garbage chute? Humans would. Maria and her team of astronauts infiltrated 3 alien ships this way. They didn't have advanced weapons, but they had something else: duct tape, wire cutters, and the human talent for breaking things. "Red wire or blue wire?" asked astronaut Jim, floating inside the alien engine room. "Both," Maria replied. "And tape that panel shut so they can't fix it." Within hours, 3 major alien vessels were drifting powerlessly in space, their crews unable to understand how their advanced systems had been sabotaged with such primitive methods. On Earth, the resistance had evolved into something the aliens couldn't comprehend. It wasn't organized military resistance anymore. It was something deeper. Every human had become a soldier, not through training, but through sheer will. In India, a group of farmers discovered that alien hover tanks couldn't function properly over flooded rice fields. The water disrupted their anti-gravity systems. Within hours, every farmer in the region had flooded their fields, creating vast swamps that trapped alien vehicles. In Russia, babushkas armed with nothing but kitchen knives had taken down an entire alien patrol. The alien's armor was designed to stop energy blasts, not a determined grandmother who knew exactly where the joints were weakest. But the moment that truly turned the tide came from an unexpected source. Human creativity. Dr. Chun had been working non-stop since the invasion began. She didn't sleep, barely ate, driven by one thought. They think we're primitive. Let's show them what primitive can do. She gathered every scientist, engineer, and even high school science teacher she could contact online. Together, they didn't try to match alien technology. They decided to use Earth's oldest weapon, the planet itself. The aliens' shields work on electromagnetic principles, she explained over the secure network. But Earth has the strongest magnetic field of any rocky planet in this solar system. The plan was insane. It required every nuclear power plant on Earth to simultaneously reverse their output, every radio tower to broadcast on the same frequency, and every electrical grid to pulse in sync. It would cause a global blackout. It might not even work, but it was perfectly human. Take an insane risk just to prove a point. President Walker gave the order. Do it. At exactly noon GMT, Earth itself became a weapon. The planet's magnetic field, artificially amplified and focused, sent out a pulse that fried every alien shield within the atmosphere. The advanced alien technology, so dependent on precise electromagnetic manipulation, simply shut down. Suddenly, the playing field was level. No shields, no energy weapons, just conventional warfare. And humans had been perfecting that for millennia. Alien ground forces, now vulnerable, faced something terrifying. Billions of humans who smelled victory. From the streets of Cairo to the suburbs of Seattle, humanity charged. Not with advanced weapons, but with baseball bats, hunting rifles, and homemade explosives. Commander Vex watched the disaster unfold. His technology advantage was gone. His forces were outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. And worst of all, the humans seemed to be enjoying themselves. "Sir," Krall reported, his voice shaking, "I'm detecting something else. Other species are watching this. The Proximans, the Vegans, even the Andromedans. They're all monitoring Earth." Vex felt a chill run through his 4 hearts. The galaxy was watching Earth fight off a superior force with inferior technology, and winning through sheer determination and insanity. The message was clear. Humans might be primitive, but they were dangerous. And they were ready to prove it to anyone who threatened their home. Asterisk, the 4th day brought an unexpected visitor. A small, unarmed vessel approached Earth carrying Ambassador Tech from the Proximan Republic. The Proximans had been watching the battle with growing fascination. "Humans," Tech broadcast, "I come in peace. May I speak with your leaders?" President Walker met with the insect-like ambassador via hologram. Tech's compound eyes reflected 1,000 images of the human leader. "Your species has done the impossible," Tech clicked in translated speech. "You've defeated a Galactic Council invasion force with primitive technology. How?" Walker leaned back in his chair. "Ambassador, you're asking the wrong question. It's not how, it's why." He gestured to the screens showing Earth's defenders. "Every species in the galaxy seems to advance the same way. Better weapons, stronger shields, faster ships. You measure strength by technology level." "Of course," Tech replied. "That is the natural progression of civilization." "No," Walker said firmly. "That's one path. Humans took a different one. We kept all our old skills while learning new ones. A human soldier can use a laser rifle, but he also knows how to make fire with 2 sticks. We can split atoms, but we also remember how to split logs." General Tom added, "Your species evolved past challenges. We collect them. Every war, every conflict, every survival situation. We remember them all. We have experts in sword fighting, and nuclear physics. We study ancient battle tactics and quantum mechanics. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, Commander Vex was facing a mutiny. His remaining officers wanted to retreat, but Vex's pride wouldn't let him. "We cannot be defeated by primitives," he roared. But Crowl showed him something that changed his mind-intercepted human communications. The humans weren't just fighting. They were learning. Every alien weapon captured was being studied. Every piece of technology was being reverse-engineered. Not by advanced AI, but by humans taking things apart to see how they worked. In a garage in Detroit, Mechanic Joe had taken apart an alien energy weapon. "It's just a fancy laser," he told his drinking buddies. "But look here, if you reverse this part and add a motorcycle battery, ... double quotes within hours." His modification had been shared globally. Humans were upgrading their weapons with alien technology, but in ways the aliens never imagined. They were combining galactic tech with human ingenuity, creating hybrid weapons that shouldn't exist. The fifth day saw humanity go on the offensive. The aliens woke to find their landed ships covered in graffiti. Not just any graffiti detailed. Technical diagrams of their own ship's weaknesses, painted by human engineers who had figured them out overnight. It was psychological warfare at its finest, but the real surprise came from space. "Commander," Crowl shouted, "the humans are launching something." It wasn't a ship. It was the International Space Station, jury-rigged with alien engines scavenged from crashed vessels. Captain Maria commanded this impossible vessel, held together with welding, prayers, and yes, duct tape. "This is Earth Vessel Ice's vengeance," Maria broadcast. "We're coming for you." The sight of this primitive structure, barely spaceworthy, charging at the alien fleet had an unexpected effect. The other watching species started laughing. The feared Galactic Council was being attacked by a space station held together with tape. But it worked. The station rammed into an alien cruiser, and human boarders swarmed through the breach. They fought with a combination of captured alien weapons and good, old-fashioned CROW Ambassador Tech watched all this with amazement. "Your species doesn't just adapt," he told Walker. "You transform everything into a weapon. Your creativity itself is weaponized." "We prefer to think of it as resourcefulness," Walker replied. "But yes, when you threaten our home, everything becomes a weapon. A grandmother's knitting needles, a child's toy drone, a farmer's tractor, everything." The breaking point came when hackers worldwide coordinated their final attack. Mike from Texas had been working with thousands of others, and they'd found it the central command code for the entire alien fleet. "It's like they never heard of cybersecurity," Mike laughed. "Their technology is so advanced, they forgot about simple vulnerabilities." With a few keystrokes, every alien ship received the same order: return to base for critical updates. The aliens' own automated systems, too perfect to question obviously false orders, began the retreat sequence. Vex tried to override it, but the humans had locked the system with something called a password, a concept. So primitive the alien systems had no defense against it. As the alien fleet began to withdraw, humanity broadcast a single message to the galaxy: Earth is defended. We may be primitive, but we are not weak. We may be young, but we are not helpless. Test us again at your own risk. As the Galactic Council fleet retreated, Commander Vex sent one final transmission to Earth. "This isn't over, humans." General Ton's response was simple: "We'll be ready." But something unexpected happened in the following hours. Ships from dozen different species began arriving at Earth's orbit, not to invade, but to observe. The galaxy had just witnessed something unprecedented. A pre-FTL civilization defeating the most powerful military force known. Ambassador Tech remained as the unofficial spokesperson for these visitors. "The Galactic Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. he explained to President Walker. No one has ever successfully resisted them. Until now. What happens next? Walker asked. That depends on you, humans. The Council will regroup. Maybe return with a larger force. But Tech paused, his antenna twitching with excitement. Many species are now questioning why we follow them at all. On Earth, the victory celebration was mixed with preparation. Humans had won the first round, but they knew it was just the beginning. Yet something had changed in those 5 days. Humanity had united like never before. Dr. Chun led the effort to reverse engineer alien technology, but with a human twist. We don't just copy, she told her team. We improve. We make it ours. Within weeks, Earth had gone from having no space fleet to having 3 functional alien vessels, heavily modified, with human improvements. The aliens had used clean, efficient energy systems. Humans added backup diesel generators, just in case. Alien weapons were precise and elegant. Humans added bayonet attachments, because sometimes you need to stab something. Captain Maria. Now, Admiral Maria of Earth's first space fleet looked at their improvised armada. It's ugly, it's held together with spare parts, but it works. The real change came from the younger generation. Kids who had watched the invasion started studying differently. They learned physics and martial arts, computer programming, and survival skills. Earth's education system transformed overnight. Everyone wanted to be ready for the next threat. A month later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Commander Vex stood trial for his failure. You had every advantage, Zor thundered. Superior technology, overwhelming numbers, the element of surprise. Respectfully, Council Leader, Vex replied, we underestimated them. No, we misunderstood them entirely. They don't fight like us. They don't think like us. They single quotes They're what? Zor demanded. They're chaos incarnate, Vex admitted. They take our greatest strengths and turn them into weaknesses. They see our advanced technology and ask, what happens if we hit it with a rock? And somehow it works. The Council debated for days. Some wanted to send a massive fleet to crush Earth completely. Others feared what humanity might do if pushed too far. The debate ended when unexpected visitors arrived, a human delegation. Admiral Maria had flown the ISS Vengeance to the Council station, a journey that should have been impossible for such a primitive vessel. But humans had made it work through determination and liberal use of alien engines duct-taped to the hull. We come with a message, Maria announced to the shocked Council. Earth wants peace, but we're prepared for war. We offer a choice. Accept us as equals, or face us as enemies. You dare threaten the Galactic Council? Zor sputtered. No, Maria smiled. We're giving you an opportunity. Think about it. In 5 days, with no space fleet, we defeated your invasion. Imagine what we could do as your allies. Or imagine what we could do with 5 years to prepare for your next attack. She let that sink in before continuing. We've already started trading with the Proximans, the Vegans, and 7 other species. They're very interested in our unique approach to problem solving. Some have even started sending their children to Earth to learn human creativity. The Council realized the truth. Humanity had already changed the galaxy. Other species were questioning the established order. The idea that advancement meant abandoning primitive methods was being challenged. What do you want? Zor asked finally. Recognition, Walker said, joining the hologram. A seat on the Council, and most importantly, respect. We may be young, but we've earned our place. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate Earth. Not because humans had the best technology, but because they had something more dangerous, the creativity to turn any situation to their advantage, the stubbornness to never give up, and the spite to prove everyone wrong. As the Council voted to admit Earth as a member, Vex turned to Crow. "Mark my words, the galaxy will never be the same." He was right. Within a year, human solutions became a galactic term for unconventional problem-solving. Within 5 years, Earth became the galaxy's most sought-after military consultants. Galaxy had underestimated Earth and learned the hard way. Now, they would learn something else. Having humans as allies was even more terrifying than having them as enemies. Because humans didn't just win. They changed the rules of the game entirely. They. END*.